Today I wanted to talk about a topic that is near and dear to me, and it has become more near and dear to me in recent days as more and more people are reaching out to me for guidance. It's a topic that might, actually will, anger some people, but I'm confident that the majority of the people will actually derive some benefit from this in terms of having a better understanding of the topic. This post or this talk that I'm doing is geared towards my Indian colleagues, friends, mentees who are reaching out to me for help, advice, guidance, etc. As well as non-Indian colleagues who are asking me, if this is how it is, why is this happening? I'll explain in more detail as we move on. So I've decided to talk regarding something that my Indian mentees and Indian colleagues and Indian brethren are coming to me with. And it has a special place in my heart because I'm Indian myself. And when I see these youngsters, these freshers, these aspiring professionals, these struggling professionals come to me with these issues, I feel a more compelling reason to not only guide them behind the scenes, but also to voice what they're going through on this platform and other platforms, because they're unable to. At least many of them are unable to, and I explain why. So, before I actually give the topic, let me ask you a general question. Have you ever had a thought that made you go, right? One of those thoughts, and in India, in Hindi, there was a song from a movie. I won't give the movie name, and there were three lines which I thought were powerful. So I'm going to try to weave those three lines into this subject today. So, have you ever had one of those thoughts where chalte chalte yu hi ruk jate hain, right? Meaning, as you're walking, you suddenly stop. Have you ever had one of those thoughts where baithe baithe yu hi kho jate hain? Meaning, as you're sitting, you get lost in that thought, right? And have you ever had one of those thoughts where कहते हैं चुप हो जाते हैं, meaning as you're talking you suddenly stop because that thought consumes you as to, hey, what's going on? Why are things the way they are? So what I'm talking about today is that, I've spoken previously regarding the topic of ineffective managers. And we tend to pile on to the managers. And on a separate podcast, I'll talk about how managers are human beings as well, and they're also employees going through their own challenges. But for the purposes of this discussion, we have what seems like a lot of ineffective managers, first-line managers, middle managers, and some senior managers as well. From the perspective of they don't have proper first-line management systems, senior management systems, people management systems, operational management systems, right? And what it does is it causes a great impact to the people in terms of career growth, in terms of development, in terms of connectedness to the organization. So there's two aspects. One, connectedness to the organization, alignment with the organization's vision, mission, and goals. And the second one is personal development. It has to be a win-win relationship, right? It can't be although there's nothing wrong with a transactional relationship, it can't be a simple transaction relationship unless you're some panwala or chaiwala or dabbawala, right? Where you're just doing the job, clock in at 9, clock out at 5, and you're done. So employees have those two tracks. One is a professional development. How, is there a career development plan? Is there a roadmap? What courses can they take? What certifications can they acquire? How can they get the promotions, etc.? And on the other side is their personal development. What, aside from the technical skills and the business skills and the domain specific skills, what skills are they acquiring that are helping them grow on a personal level, right? So when you have managers that they themselves are struggling, how can they actually provide proper guidance to these people? So that is the underlying issue. But the topic for this podcast is that despite these managers being ineffective and having a negative impact on people, the people on public platforms continue to shower praises at these managers. They throw accolades at these managers. They kiss the manager's ring finger, right? They go out of their way to praise the manager. So why is that? And I'm going to break it down based on first-hand observation. I was born and raised in India. I've been dealing with Indian professionals since 2003 when I took my first outsourcing account to India on behalf of IBM. So I'm talking to you from first-hand experience, and not some guy that spoke to some guy who spoke to some guy who spoke to some guy who heard something, right? So everything I write about, everything I say, I have experienced it firsthand. And if it's something that I heard, I'll let you know, but this is what I've seen. So one, fear. You say anything bad about your Indian manager, chances are you're done. So in Canada, we had a term called career limiting move or career limiting decision, right? Now, if anyone did something to me here, I can go to HR. We all know HR is useless. I have human rights. I have the Employment Commission that, we have the Employment Standards Act. I have a labor lawyer, employment lawyer. I can go to social media. I can go to the news stations, and it's on, right? So even if the company so HR's, you have to understand, HR's role is to protect the company, mostly from bad managers, right? So if you are raising a concern about a bad manager, HR can't acknowledge that or give in, because then the company might become liable. So their job is not to protect you, not necessarily to even protect the manager, to protect the company. So they're going to do what's in the company's best interest, not yours. They're not there to protect you. So fear, right? Your manager can give you a poor performance rating, nothing you can do. Your manager can stop your promotion, nothing you can do. Your manager can badmouth you to other departments, nothing you can do. Your manager can reject your certification badges, nothing you can do, right? And in some cases, in India, they had this policy, I don't know if it's still the same now, where when you leave, you have to get a release letter from your company before you can join another company. So what used to happen back in the days was when people weren't happy and they wanted to leave, and even if they were happy but they got a better job, sometimes the managers would release them but not give the release letter and hold up the release letter to the point where the other job was filled, and then they would give the release letter. So now the employee's out of the first job and couldn't get into the second job, and they're screwed, right? So fear is one. The second thing is personal responsibility. So you don't want to do anything that jeopardizes your job, because sometimes you are the breadwinner, where you left your village to come into the city to do your job, and you're making just enough to cover your rent, your transportation costs, whether you have a motorcycle or you're taking auto rickshaw or bus service, whatever the case is, and just enough left over for food. So there are times when it's months and months before you can even go back and visit your family, right? Or if you're lucky where you have decent salary, again, at the end of the day, between income and expenses, you're almost down to zero again, because you have to send money back home because your parents, borrowed money to pay for your education and to go into the city, or you have to pay for your sister's wedding. So there's all these obligations, which sometimes prevents you from doing or saying anything that can put your job at risk. So every day you could be slowly dying inside, but you can't do anything because you have all these obligations. You have kids you have to take care of, parents you have to take care of, little brothers and sisters and aunts and uncles and all these responsibilities because you're the only one in the entire family that's working. Now the third one, and this one I've seen a lot, it's a nationalistic pride that's built on fear. So the only way I can explain this one is I'll give you an example. There was a situation where we had an outsourced account moved to India. We were supposed to go live. We were about to go live the following day. I told the people, go home early, relax, chill, relax, get good sleep. Tomorrow, you guys have been trained. You have your tools. You have the support. If you freak out, put up your hand. I will be on the floor with other management. I was a global delivery manager. And if you really get jammed up on a call, I will take the call, even though I was the global delivery manager, right? I had no problem getting on the phone and helping out the agents and dealing with irate customers. And man, were there irate customers. So I wanted to give them that feeling of comfort to say, okay, just roll with it, right? We can only do what we can do that's within our sphere of control. The Indian manager, his pep talk was along the lines of, tomorrow's D-Day. Don't screw up. If you screw up, you're going to make this account look bad. You're going to make the local leadership look bad. You're going to make the city look bad. You're going to make the state look bad. And you're going to make India look bad. Right? So now the people have fear, and they're being conditioned that whatever you do, you have all these layers that you have to think about. Image of India, image of the state, image of the city, image of the management team, image of the account, right? So even if you have ineffective managers that are maliciously holding you back on public platforms, you can't say anything because on one hand, you have fear of your own progress. On the second hand, the managers, when they learn that you have responsibility to take care of your family and all that, they will use that against you, and they will add to the fear to say that you're going to lose your job and you're going to lose your house and blah, blah, blah. And then the third one is you're a bad Indian because you said something negative about a manager. So this is the topic, that we all have ineffective managers everywhere we go. But the mind games, the mental games, the pressure that the Indian employees are put under, the way they're being taken advantage is unacceptable. And a lot of these multinational companies, the white executives in North America or in Europe, one, when they go to India, they get the horse and pony show. So they don't really see what's going on, like the Wizard of Oz, right? The second thing is, even when these issues are brought to them, their main concern is, we're in India because it's cheap labor. Yes, we know the quality is bad, but we have backroom deals with our client, CIOs, CFOs, etc., where they know the quality is going to be shit. But the client is saving money, we're making money, so we'll do the little tap dancing to say, oh, this is unacceptable, and we're going to do this, we're going to do that. But behind the scenes, the service provider and the CFO of the client, they're both happy because financially they're both coming out on top, right? The employees on the service provider side are being treated like shit. The customers on the client side are receiving service that's shit. And with the little exception of, middle management dancing and flexing and, doing whatever they have to say, this is unacceptable, you need to do this, you need to do that. At the top layer, they're laughing because on one side, you have revenue and profit. On the other side, your costs are going down. And even if you had no revenue, your GP is going to maximize. So, why are so many Indians, in closing, why are so many Indians continuing to praise managers who behind the scenes they will say that this manager is absolutely horrendous. Fear, nationalistic pride. Thank you.